Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Patrick. As always, thank you so much for joining me for practice here on YouTube. Before we begin, if you enjoy these classes, you've been practicing with me every week for almost the last year, hit the like button, share the video with a friend. Let's keep growing the vibe, keep growing the community. It's awesome to be in this space with all of you. Our practice today is going to be a nice fluid flexibility practice. We'll move at a slightly slower pace just so you can kind of enjoy some of the sensations a bit and also learn how you're positioning your body in space. So kind of enjoying that journey for what it is. For today, let's start out in child's pose. So go ahead and let the arms stretch out long. Let your hips sit back in space. Finding some full available openings in your body, not only by the way you organize yourself in space, but also through your breath. So you're creating a relationship between your inhales, creating elevation, maybe, and for our practice today, your exhales, creating a softening, right? There'll be a few moments where we need to dive into the physical a bit, as we always do, but majority of our work here today will be, to create some space, to find some opening and some availability that resides within all of us. Go ahead and take 2 to 3 more breaths here. Setting a stage for your practice, creating a centered, open, and available experience. And then go ahead and inhale, come up onto hands and knees. Circle the shoulders over the wrists a few times, playing into the hands, playing into the spine, creating some freedom of movement forwards, backwards, side to side. So don't play this as your traditional cat-cow pose. Just give yourself the opportunity to move around a little bit here. Find some freedom, find some availability, some awareness and understanding. And as you feel comfortable in the hands, go ahead and step back into your plank pose. So integrating your arms, but not only the arms, integrating your core, integrating your legs. So I really want you to get long through the backs of the knees here as much as you get long through the elbows. Feel as they're both highways bringing information into the central channel, your belly, your chest, and your mind. See if you can breathe through your entire body here. So your inhales move through the back line down to the heels, and your exhales clear. And when you clear, it doesn't have to go to full empty. It's just kind of like a clearing out of sorts. Pushing down into the palms, and then slowly lower yourself to the floor in 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. As you land, open your right arm out directly like a T and roll onto your right hip. So you can step the left foot over and behind your right knee if you'd like and you have that space. But again, if you don't worry about it. Just allow yourself to be as you are. Breathing fully, just rolling onto the right shoulder in some capacity. And then from there, go ahead and twist back to center and switch your sides. Let the left arm reach out directly off the shoulder and then rolling on to your left side waist in some capacity. Your right foot can step over here. You're just finding some availability. Leaning into the sensations of the stretch. And please know here that your chest could be way more squared to the floor than mine is. Right? Don't put pressure on yourself for it to be aesthetically one way or another. Just give yourself the grace to be in the position that serves you best, or your variation of the position that serves you best. As you twist back to center, set your fingertips up for oscillating cobra pose, pushing the fingertips down. Then inhale, lifts the chest up. And exhale rolls you down. It's almost as if you want to feel an inhale swinging into the chest, into the rib cage, into the lower belly, allowing elevation. And then the exhale rolls you down. 2 more here, just like that. Inhale, roll yourself up. And exhale, roll yourself down. Inhale, roll yourself up. Exhale, roll yourself down. Last one here. Inhale, roll yourself up. And exhale, roll yourself down. Place your palms on the floor. Your journey back to plank pose through hands and knees or through a push-up. So you place the palms and then exhale, you rise. As you find your plank pose, root into the palms, drive through the thumbs. Try to keep the shoulders where they are and then slowly walk the feet up towards the base of the wrist, towards the thumbs. And you can go really slow here, big toe to big toe, lifting the hips nice and high, taking weight into the hands. You could go quick. You're just finding your variation of walking forward and then allowing yourself to marinate in this fold for a few moments. As you get into your folding shape, let opposite hand catch opposite elbow and subtly sway around a little bit side to side. And when you find a nice line of tension, maybe you linger there. Maybe you lean to the left and you feel a good line from the right heel up through the hips and maybe even down through the left leg. You can always switch sides and adjust your shape, but seek sensation here. And that's oftentimes what I mean when I'm talking about play the pose in your own way. Obviously, there's some structure and technique that we're always trying to create, but you want to apply those thoughts in relationship to your own physicality. Go ahead and exhale, release there. Inhale, halfway lift, elevating the chest. Think about that oscillating cobra. And then exhale, roll down. Inhale, reach your hands up to the sky as you open the heart, get longer, get taller as you push the hips forward, stretch through the fingers. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up, push the hips forward, open the front line of the body. And then exhale, fold all the way down. Let your fingertips find a home on the floor. Step the left foot towards the back of the mat. And as you lower the left knee down to the ground, you're going to side bend here in your lunge. So if you have a block and you want to use it, I'll use one for this practice today. I'll put the block just to the outside of my right hip and just stretch my left arm up and overhead. So I'm really kind of getting in to some of this side body space, into the left hip space. And you can just kind of play the hips around a little bit here. So left hip chasing inner line of right leg and then opening up, right? You can have the block on any height, right? Maybe you start high, then maybe you begin to go low. And if you have the space in your body, maybe you even just have the hand flat on the floor. And it's not just about having the space, it's about finding your capacity to explore the space that we're seeking here. Slowly return to center. Bind the hands behind the back, right thumb on top of left. Chase the ground behind you as you lift the heart, knuckles reaching towards the floor, finding a little bit more elevation through the heart. And then on your exhale, release. As your hands find their home on the floor, stretch the right foot up to the sky, finding your three-legged dog. As you elevate through the right foot, bend the right knee as you roll over the outer edge of the left foot. And as the right foot lands as it normally would for your wild thing or your flip dog, I just want you to sit all the way down to the floor. As you land here, take the right foot to the inside of the left leg. Inhale, lift the chest up. And then exhale, I want you to reach the left hand over to catch the right knee. Right hand catches the skull. And then you just fold a little bit here. So again, moving more into your side body, creating some opening. Two more breaths here. And slowly return to center. Inhale, reach your hands up. On your exhale, reach forward as you fold over the left leg, hands reaching towards the left foot, finding a home. And that home could, of course, be hands on the floor. And then inhale, lift all the way back up. Roll to the outer edge of the left foot as you come back into your three-legged dog. Hands find a home at the top of the mat. Right leg stretches up and back behind you. And then from here, your right shin will come forward into your pigeon pose. So the outer edge of the right foot finds the floor as the right knee and the left knee ground. Keep your fingertips down and inhale, breathe into your lower back to create some space. Finding a bit more elevation, a bit more length. And again, feel your ability to sway around a touch here. Just try to be long, be open. From here, push into the right shin as you tuck the left toes. Bring the left knee up behind the right heel or the outer edge of the right foot. And then from here, I want you to stick your tailbone up to the sky, almost as if you're doing cat-cow pose here with your hands flat on the floor and your chest reaching out. So you're on your hands and knees position. And you're just pushing your hips back in space, seeing if this helps you work into your right hip just a bit more. And then go ahead and bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Push into the right shin to step the left foot back where it started. As it gets there, keep the left toes pushing into the floor to lift the left knee. Lengthen your spine and then slowly fold back down. And this time let your chest hunt the floor. Hopefully you're a little bit deeper here. You have a touch more space as you melt down. These little setups, they kind of help us create activation, and that activation actually allows our body to get comfortable in some of these folded positions. So as you begin to structure yourself in a lot of these shapes, just be mindful of how you can be present, how you can be active in the pose. And sometimes being active in the pose is letting go, and other times it's, really tuning in to what's going on. From here, rise out of your pigeon pose with or without your hands. Reach them up to the sky to get long, to get lifted. One more inhale. On the exhale, your hands will come to the floor as they land. Tuck the left toes and stretch your right foot back behind you. Three-legged plank pose. Squeeze your right heel towards your butt as you lower your chest towards the floor as if you're going to chaturanga. When you find your chaturanga position, roll to the outer edge of the left foot, landing the left hip, slowly setting the right foot down to the outside of the left knee and coming back into that Janu Shirshasana that we were in before. Inhale, reach your hands up towards the sky. Feel a lot of opening in the right hip. And on your exhale, fold down over the left leg. Leaning yourself out. Inhale, lift up, find elevation. Place your hands, left hand by the left ankle, right hand just to the outside of your right bum, and then roll onto the left big toe to step the right foot to the top of the mat. Wide leg forward fold. And again, that can be pretty, or that can just be something that occurred in space. Don't make it more or less complicated than it needs to be. Allow yourself to marinate in this fold for a few moments. Finding your breath, finding some space. And feel this waterfalling effect as you enter the shape, dropping you down. Walk your hands towards your front right foot, bending your knee. And from here, lower your left knee to the floor. Locate your block. Put the block, or again, you don't have to use the block, but you can take the forearms onto the block if you have one, or place your hands on the floor, or of course, forearms to the floor. Sorry if that was unclear in any way, but we really just want softness here. So oftentimes I'm talking about pelvic position and different things of that nature. And while that's always important when we set ourselves up, something that's nice to do is just to give yourself a break and to give yourself the space to just kind of linger in this shape. Right, so get a little bit longer. Right, if you really wanted to be a bit more functionally correct here, what you could really do is try to pull the tailbone up towards the sky as you lengthen the lower back and feel the front of your right hip rolling onto your right femur, so you're finding the wall there. And if you find that wall, you're most likely in your deepest range for this space, whether your chest is at the floor or, your chest is facing the sky. Two more breaths. We've really been in this right leg for a while, and so it'll be nice when we switch sides and, kind of put some of those other pieces together, bring some symmetry to this action. All right, from here, I want you to lift the left knee off the floor by tucking the toes. Fold over the right leg in some capacity, so you're getting into that hamstring a bit in this longer position. Feel the stretch. And then go ahead and bend your right knee. And if you have a block, I want you to take the block and put it underneath your left quad, I guess. So that's, any height for the block is good. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it at all. Just kind of hold this space and then see from here if you can rise up into your high lunge. If you have the block, drive your left femur onto the block as much as possible and just really feel strong in this longer lunge position. So we're opening the left hip quite a bit here. Try to activate the glute, and you're using the block to help make that a reality. Big full breaths. Enjoying the space you explore. Holding here for 7, for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. On one, slowly take your hands back to the floor. If you have the block, remove it so you can find your half splits Ardha Hanuman. Dropping down over the right leg, finding a lot of depth in the fold at the right hip crease. Finding your breath, let it fill your body as you go really deep into this stretch. And again, deep is always relative to you. And one of the things you want to think about or consider with depth beyond the physical is we always think of depth as a dive into us. And you don't want to go in so deep that you can't come back out, right? It's kind of why when you close your eyes in some of these poses and really enjoy the stretching sensation, it's beautiful, but it's okay to creep an eye open here and there so you can just kind of see what's going on around you. Remind you that you're still, wherever you began the practice, in your kitchen, in your living room, outside, in your yard, in the park, at the beach. There's so many places you could be. Go ahead and bend the right knee. Coming out of the stretch, place your palms flat on the floor, and then step back into your downward facing dog. Notice the difference between your right and your left side. You may find it so easy to almost ground the right heel into the floor. You lengthen the lower back here, gripping through the fingers. Then go ahead and inhale, wave yourself forward into your plank pose. Moving through the spine. Vinyasa, modified vinyasa, whatever feels good to you here. When you finish your upward facing dog, instead of going back to downward facing dog, I want you to find your plank pose, integrate your core strength, push through the palms, and then slowly walk the feet up to your hands, feeling the grip, the lift through the hips, the long elevation through the back line of the body. Fight for those last few inches.
And then find your fold. We won't be here as long this time, but let opposite hand catch opposite elbow, creating a framework for your practice, structure for the places that we move to. And then from there, go ahead and inhale, halfway lift, lengthening the spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, rise up, reach your hands above you, pushing the hips forward, stretching through the fingers. On your exhale, hands. Find heart center. Inhale, reach the hands up, getting long through the front line. Exhale, fold all the way down. As your hands find the floor, the right foot moseys to the back of the mat. As the right knee lowers, you're going to take the side bend in your low lunge. So, using the block, not using the block, it's good either way. You just want to find the line of tension. So again, maybe you start with the block higher up. Maybe you start with the block lower down. You're just kind of getting in to some of this sticky space, moving around, breathing into your right side body here. And push your left hand into the block, into the floor, wherever you find yourself. So you have that support, that scaffolding, that structure. So the left hand is now part of the foundation of the space you find yourself in. On your exhale, release. Bring your hands to the floor, framing your left foot. Lift the right knee as you push your hips up and back in space, and then take the left foot with you. So you're stretching through the left foot. And then from here, I want you to roll to the outer edge of the right foot. And as you slowly set the left foot down behind the right knee, lower your right hip all the way to the floor. And you find your Janu Shirshasana. In this first one, I want us to play the side bend. So your right hand catches your left knee. Your left hand cradles your head, fingers by your right ear. Get tall and then feel the side bend. And hopefully you notice how you're creating more space and range here. So just getting nice and long, open. Breathing in fully, purposefully, and mindfully. Applying your practice and your techniques to the journey we find ourselves on. Go ahead and inhale, return to center. Reach your hands up towards the sky, and then fold over the right shin in some capacity here. So leaning out, reaching forward, trying to feel some movement coming from your right hip. If you do, you'll notice your capacity to find more depth in the stretch is just higher. It's just trying to move from the foundation as much as possible. Inhale to rise up. Get long through the spine, and then place your palms back on the mat as you roll over the outer edge of the right foot and sweep into your three-legged dog. As you get there, take the inhale, and on your exhale, bring the left shin up towards the top of the mat. Allow the left foot to land by the right hand, setting you up for your pigeon pose. And on this first one, I want you to stay upright, stay long. Nestle into your space. Maybe your left hip finds a home on the floor. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it needs support here. But just take time to get longer through the spine, to feel some folding your hip crease, to lift your tailbone up. Engineer the shapes you find yourself in. From here, go ahead and scoot the right knee up behind the left heel or the outer edge of the left foot. And then I want you to take your hands forward so you find yourself into this pigeon variation of your hands and knees pose. Again, very familiar for your cat-cow. I'm just going to push your hips back in space as you lift the tailbone up. The more you can control your core here, right, the more you're going to really get into that left hip. Again, you can take weight out of the hands if you want, maybe rising onto your fingertips. That might add a little bit more intensity. Push your left shin down into the floor with a touch of vigor. So these little moments is where you're finding the activation and the work in our practice today. And then from here, bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Step the right foot back to where it came from. Keep the right knee lifted as the toes land at the back of the mat. Push to the outer edge of the left foot. Pull your hips back in space for a moment as you're getting a little bit deeper there. And then lower your left knee back down to the floor and really find a comfortable fold. Letting yourself drop down. Chest finding the floor in some capacity. Finding length through the back body. Creating a space that not only is interesting for you, you're working through a line of tension, but also a space that feels valuable. As we explore a lot of this external hip opening today, if you will, external rotation of the femur in the hip socket, there's a lot of muscle surrounding this area of the body, and so because of that, there's a lot of tension that you can kind of be working through. External rotation always feels really nice to work through. There's kind of like, even if it's tight, you're like, oh, it's tight, but if you find the right spot in the stretch, the right amount of leverage, all of a sudden it feels phenomenal. And as you're working through that, do so with your breath. Be mindful on the journey. From here, elevate your spine away from the floor as you lift the head, collarbones up. Stretch your hands to the space above you, getting a little bit longer and a little bit taller. And then on your exhale, let your hands find the floor. Tuck the right toes as you lean forward. Find your three-legged plank pose. You can keep squeezing the left heel to the butt here. As you lower down to your chaturanga, find your lowest depth. And then roll to the outer edge of the right foot, letting the right hip land, left foot lands. Push yourself up and around to find your Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, lift up, get tall. Now on the exhale, fold over the right leg again. Sinking down. Notice how you have more space here this time. Working through the hips and the side body creates opening and opportunities for change. Inhale, go ahead and lift up. Your right hand plants by your right ankle. Your left hand plants behind your left butt cheek. Roll onto the right foot as you step the left foot to the top of the mat. Wide leg, forward fold. And as you drop into that space, I really want you to just linger for a few moments. So again, the stance is probably wider than the one you normally find yourself in. That's good. Notice the difference in the sensation. Is it living in the hamstring? Or has it migrated? Has it shifted? Maybe the inner line of the leg is what you're getting into in this moment. And again, you can have as much contact with the floor as is interesting to you, or as little contact with the floor. Just be honest and open with what you seek in this moment. From here, you're going to walk your hands towards your front left foot. And as you make it there, again, I want you to drop the right knee down and work to move your forearms down towards the floor. And again, if they get there and it feels good, linger. If you want to use the block because that feels good, fantastic. All right, just kind of set yourself up. And if you really want that technical setup or organization of yourself, by all means, lift your tailbone up and get long through the lower back. But if you find that need in your mentality right now, find some opportunity in this practice to give yourself some grace. I think it's really important to work hard and refine the details of a lot of these positions.
So important. But it's also important to know that you don't have to do everything all the time. It's important to find a balance to the spaces that you find yourself in and to the expectations that you put on yourself. From here, lift the right knee off the floor. Drive your hips up as you straighten the left leg in some capacity, finding a real depth in your fold. And then go ahead and bend the left knee. Take your block back underneath your right quad, or just stay in this really long, low lunge if that's the space you have, because you don't have a block, which is just fine. And then try to rise up wherever you are. I really want you to push the right hip forward. What helps have the block is you can almost feel your right femur landing on the block. Again, the block can be at any height. I have it at a high height. You could have it at a significantly lower height, just depending on your range and proportional setup. Reach your hands up and just hold here for a few breaths. So these are kind of like those intense moments of our journey where we're really in some of these deep positions. I want you to enjoy them, right? Find the joy in the work here. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. As you fold back down, remove the block if you have one. As the right knee lands, straighten the left leg and just fold over top of it. Again, being gentle with yourself as you find Ardha Hanuman. Try to keep your upper body connected to your left leg so you're finding leverage to stretch the left hamstring. And then from here, bend your left knee, plant your palms, step back to your plank pose, and vinyasa. Lower down slowly, rise up, drop knees and forearms. Inhale, pull yourself through upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. We've done a lot of stretching today, so I just want to take one awakening yoga Surya, and it doesn't have to be your most intense version, of course, but it can be if you want it to be, just to check in with some of these foundational poses for this new range that we've been exploring. So we're just kind of activating some of the spaces that we've found ourselves in. So look forward, lift heels, bend knees, step or float feet to the outside of your hands. Really trying to take the feet as wide as possible. Let the landing be as graceful as possible. Pull the knees apart as you ground through the heels and lift the lower back. Just noticing the new depth of the space, the activation through the legs. On your exhale, straighten, bring your hands to heart center. Push your hips forward. Inhale, reach your hands up to the sky. Get a little bit longer, a little bit more lifted. And on your exhale, sit the hips back down. From here, plant your hands on the floor, elbows bend, heart leaning forward, and flow through your vinyasa. Linger in your upward facing dog for a moment. Push down through the hands. Push down through the tops of the feet. And then from here, find your plank pose. Holding the plank, integrating everything. And then spread the knees apart as you sit the hips back, finishing our journey today in the same child's pose that you began in. So find a long back here, sit into those hips. They should feel quite nice after this little exploration that we've been on. I hope you enjoyed this practice today. Take as much time as you need in this closing position, and if you're continuing your journey into your yoga practice today, you're very warmed up and ready to explore many different places. It's such a pleasure to share space with all of you here on YouTube. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Have an amazing rest of your day. Peace.